You guys all thinking about flying, we are going to make paper airplanes on your construction paper. But before we do that, I want you guys to write 2 facts that you think you know all about the first flight. So 2 facts on your construction paper. So everybody, fold your paper, hot dog style. Make sure you crease it really well. So do you think your plane's going to fly far?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, kind of? Okay, somebody tell me why.
Because it's big. Because things are like, no, because the top part is like heavy.
The top part's heavy, so you think that's going to help it go a little farther? Okay, so after we throw it one time, do you think that your plane's going to keep going?
No.
No help from you. So the Wright brothers were Wilbur and Orville Wright, and Wilbur Wright was born on April 16, 1867. So he's the older brother. And on this sheet of paper, your line sheet, I want you guys to take some notes. So when I tell you to write something down, write it down, because we're going to do some activities afterwards. And so just write, Wilbur's the older brother. And then Orville Wright was born 4 years after Wilbur on August 19, 1871. And so they made a really great team. Wilbur would think of the ideas that they could make, because when they were younger kids, they liked to build a lot of different things. You'll learn about in a little bit, they built a printing press. So Wilbur would think of the ideas, and Orville would actually do it and put it all together. So here's a picture. So Wilbur is on the left, which this is Wilbur, and this is Orville. This is when they're older, and after they have created the first plane. So, they first got the idea of building the plane. Remember I told you they were interested in flying? They didn't really think much of it since their toy helicopter, right? So, they got the idea of inventing an airplane in 1896 when they read a newspaper article about Otto Lilienthal, who was a German inventor. And so this is called a glider. Remember what I was telling you? It would use the wind to fly, but you couldn't really steer it or anything. Well, this is Otto Lilienthal, and this is his glider. And he built 16 different versions, so these are just 2 different versions. And so the glider is an aircraft that looks like a small airplane, but it doesn't have an engine, and it's held up by wind and air currents. So when he was doing a test, because he believed in testing his products himself, he crashed and was killed. So the first step that the Wright brothers took was to build a giant kite-shaped glider so they could find a way of steering it. And this is their giant glider, and they had to study how birds fly. So the Wright brothers attached cords to the kite and held them in their hands. When they wanted to turn the plane right, they pulled on the cord with their right hand, and the plane would turn to the right. When they wanted to turn to the left, they pulled on their left cord, it would turn to the left. But then the second step is to build a glider big enough to carry 1 person. And how it works is there's 2 wings. And so there's 2 different wings. There's 1 wing above the other. And the pilot would lay down on the lower wing with his feet resting against this board. I'm going to show you a picture in a second. So this wooden bar. And there was wires connecting to the ends of the bar and the wing tips. So that way you could have control of it, right? So by pushing on this, the pilot could make the plane turn left or right, which we just talked about, how they figured out how to steer. And then there was a flat panel called the elevator, and the pilot would push that to make the plane go up or down. And the glider was made out of wood and cloth. In 1900, it made almost a dozen flights each day. But each flight only lasted a few seconds and went a distance of a few hundred feet. Because the winds could only take it so far. It's kind of heavy, right? With a person on it, made out of wood, that's heavy material. And then in 1901 and 1902, they built 2 more gliders and made thousands of test flights. Oh, the location for all of these tests was in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. So, the reasons for picking Kitty Hawk was it's on a strip of land, so it has sand hills called dunes. The glider, if it was flying, like you going down the dunes, it could pick up a lot of speed. And if the glider crashed, it wouldn't cause much damage because the sand is soft, right? And the wind. Everybody said that the wind is blowing there all